Okay, we're looking at this sheet, which is development, and this is looking at potential commercial production. So for commercial production, what we're saying is my table will be a one-off, and if the design was going to be mass produced, I would make changes to the design to make it better suited to mass production. So what we're looking at is here's my table design here, and we're going to develop this to change it to make it more suitable for mass production. So if our table is going to be mass produced, how would we change it? So the first thing we'd look at is flat pack. So we all know that if we were going to make our table mass produced, the first thing we'd look at is flat packing it. So we're going to say to the target market, what are the advantages of flat pack? We're going to talk about flat pack here. We're going to say what's the advantage to the consumer. So the furniture is cheaper because transport costs are lower. Large furniture items can be carried home in a family car. You don't need a big van for a wardrobe or something like that. And the items are cheaper. To the manufacturer, the furniture can be stored in a shop or warehouse. You can store much more, takes up less space, and the manufacturer can sell it cheaper because they don't have to pay for assembly of the furniture. We can also look at the environmental impact of it, and we know that transporting it, for example, if it's flat packed, it's much cheaper to transport, uses less fossil fuel. So that's flat pack. Now, if we are going to flat pack our table, which is our main consideration here, we would use KD or knockdown fittings. These are fittings that just can be assembled by the user, by the person that buys the table. And we're going to choose two fittings here, and we're going to look at where they might be fitted in our table. So here I've chosen camlock fittings, and there's a picture of camlock fittings. We put a picture in there, and we say they go into pre-drilled holes, the cam part grips, and it just tightens up. So you should know these KD fittings, and we're putting an arrow here. This is where they might go, and on my table these fittings could be used instead of mortise and tenon joints to join my frame together. Here we've got a second KD fitting, so here I've chosen corner blocks. These are attached to two pieces of wood, and then a screwed thread fixes the two pieces together. On my table these could be used to attach the top, and these here we can look at the tools to be used, and we could, to get the top marks, say how much work this would save, obviously the tools, and talk about the differences in manufacture from the two tables. So this box here and this is all about flat packing our table, because that would be the main way that we would change our table for mass production. Now there's two other things we could use. We could look at CNC machining up here. So CNC machining is using computer numerically controlled machine, or the milling machine or a laser cutter, to cut out the panels or machine the joints, which would be much faster than cutting out by hand, much more accurately, and that's in all likelihood how the tabletop might be cut out, for example, on a CNC milling machine. Last of all, we're looking at finishing, and we can say if the table is going to be batch produced, it would be finished using a spray gun, instead of we might put on Danish oil, for example, using a paintbrush or a cloth, whereas using a spray gun is much quicker and it gives a much better finish. And for mass production, it can be computer, so we can use a robot spraying. So there's different robot spraying there, and we can add images here of spray painting and here of CNC machining. So we're just talking about these two other mass production techniques, CNC machining and spray finishing. So this is this sheet, which is development, potential commercial production.